Good morning, everyone, and welcome. It is Friday, September the 11th, 2020. It is currently 10:22 a.m. Central Time, and I'm coming to you live from Victory Baptist Church located here in Ovalo, Texas. And, well, I wanted to turn on the microphone this morning and just, kind of explain everything that's going on, kind of give you an update, maybe try to figure out where we're going, maybe just try to make sense of 2020. I don't know. I just felt the need not to really have one particular topic, just turn on the microphone and talk. And hopefully I will say something that you will find to be informative, interesting. I doubt it will be entertaining, but hopefully you will give me a little bit of your time. I will not try to take too much of it. Now, it is September the 11th. It's hard to believe. You see, what time is it? I just stated the time, like 10:23 a.m. Central Time. It's hard to believe that, 19 years ago? I think it was 19 years ago. My math skills are really bad. 19 years ago. Right now, I was either standing guard to the hospital on an Air Force base, or we were told to basically take cover, because, we thought, an attack was possibly imminent. It was, let's just say September the 11th was an absolutely crazy day. Obviously it was for anyone living in the United States of America. I think for people around the world. I know for pretty much anyone who was alive on September the 11th, 2001, anyone alive at that time, you can probably remember exactly where you were, exactly what was going on. I was a part of a military exercise. And then one of my commanders someone walked around the corner and said a plane has just hit one of the towers in New York City. And I was like, wait, what? That's a dumb scenario for a military exercise. What are you talking about? I'm like, what does that have to do with what we're doing here today? Like, that's not, that scenario doesn't fit the exercise that we're currently having. And I was told, no, it's not an exercise. It actually just happened. So me and my commander, we walked down a hallway to where there was a television and a room where we would bring in troops for, I won't go into all the details of what we were doing during that exercise. But so me and the commander walked down to where this TV was, and he stood there looking at it for a second, and he said, "That's terrorism." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "It's terrorism." I'm like, "Are you sure?" And then we watched as the second plane hit the other tower, and he was like, "Oh, we're under attack. We're under attack." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "We're under attack." And it felt like, there was a delay. I don't know exactly how long it was. I know we went back to where we were, and then we got news that the Pentagon had been hit. And then one of the girls I was working with, she just broke down because her parents worked in the Pentagon, and she lost it. And she was trying to call, and then all of a sudden they were like, exercise terminated, real world, and just everything went crazy. And it was just chaos from that moment. Everyone didn't know where to go. Everyone was trying to figure out what to do. Some people thought, I'm going to, some people didn't really take it serious, didn't really understand what was going on. So they decided they were going to run home first before they went back to work after the exercise. And they went off base and then couldn't get back on the base because the base was locked down. I was told to immediately get back to the hospital where I worked because I was in the medical world in the United States Air Force, and we got back, and then it was just crazy. We had to put guards at all the doors. It was just, I could go on and on and on with everything that happened that day. It was absolutely crazy. We really thought, we didn't really know. It's not about what we thought. It's what we did not know. We didn't really understand what was going on, and we were getting all kinds of reports, and it was just chaos, and it was just, I can't even explain how that day, it's hard to even put it into words. Obviously, you have your own stories of September the 11th, 2001. It's hard to believe that, at this hour, I was, probably standing guard in front of the hospital is probably what I was doing. Or literally at one point, we were told to pull all the blinds down and to get out all of the offices and to get in the hallways and to get on the ground because we literally thought we were about to be attacked. It was hard to believe. And then we were like trying to pull the TV into the hallway so that we could try to get news reports because in some cases that's where we were getting our information, literally from the news, because there was so much confusion that we weren't really being given any information from any of the command structure because everybody was just in total chaos. So it's hard to believe that that's where I was. And all of these years later, here I sit in an empty sanctuary in a church, going through all the things that are happening in 2020. Obviously, the world hasn't gotten better. Obviously, we still have chaos and division and difficulties. And yes, but that's the nature of the world. The world is never going to get better because we have human beings in it who are depraved, which is all of us. And that depravity leads to depraved actions and leads to all the chaos and difficulties we see in the world. The world's never going to experience true peace. The world's never going to experience true joy. The world's never going to experience true meaning. It's going to always remain a place of pain, suffering, and chaos because, well, that's the way it is until Christ returns, until the Creator rules and reigns over His creation in an absolute direct way. The world will continually to rebel against God, go its own way, and then reap the consequences of that. And so, yeah, it's hard to believe here we are in 2020, but it's just a reminder, this world is not our home as Christians. This world is not, we are looking for something better. We're looking for the kingdom of God. We're looking for the return of Christ, and we are focused on eternity, and we're focused on spiritual perspective and not an earthly perspective. So many different things we could talk about it, but it's hard not to say the date. It's hard not to start a podcast and say, hey, today is September the 11th, 2020, and not just immediately start thinking about everything that happened on September the 11th, 2001. I know for me, I'll never forget it. I'm assuming you will never forget it. We all had our different experiences, but what was weird is even though everyone's experience was different, it was different, but we were all, at least for a moment, connected because we were experiencing it in different ways, but we were all experiencing the same thing, the chaos, the news that the United States of America was under attack. And it's hard to... In one ways, it felt like it brought us all together for a very short period of time. But guess what happens? The human depravity always rises back up, and we go back to being divided and fighting amongst ourselves. And, what do they always say? That most countries, they collapse from within. They talk about how many countries, I can't say most, but many countries, it's not being defeated from an outside force. It's being destroyed from the inside out. And it feels like in many ways, America is slowly but surely being destroyed from the inside out. And so as much as we worry about external threats and external attack, it's what we're doing to ourselves that sometimes is I think will be the undoing of this country, but that's for a whole different podcast. So I just at least had to mention that. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. I'm here to talk about, I'm here to kind of give you an update on a number of things. So for some of you, this will be important news. For others, it will not. But I'm just going to go through a list of things. I don't have this written down, so I'm not going to try to number them. And I probably won't be able to review them. Probably I won't remember all of them. But just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on behind the scenes. All right, here at Victory Baptist Church, located here in Ovella, Texas, we had started trying to have in-person services again. Now, we were only having Sunday morning services. We weren't even doing Sunday school. We were just arriving for one service for 1 hour and going home. We had not even we hadn't even started doing any singing as of yet. We were trying to be very careful because of COVID-19, trying to take precautions, trying to be careful, and well, that's all coming to an end again. This week, I was notified that one of the college students in our church is tested positive for COVID-19, and so they were here Sunday. So Guess what that means? So now we have to just stop everything, and we're basically going to stop all in-person services for the rest of September and then try to reevaluate at the beginning of October and see what we can do. Obviously, this is discouraging news. It's depressing news. I think the person sitting in the pew and the person standing behind the pulpit, even though we're kind of experiencing the same thing, no in-person church, in-person church service, I think we are all experiencing it in different ways. For me, it's very discouraging, very depressing, because trying to preach and trying to teach, sitting here at this table in front of this microphone, yeah, it may work for a podcast, right? But when it comes to like a sermon, especially the way I teach, the lifeblood really for me in my teaching is people there asking questions, seeing reactions, engaging them, having them, when I do a review, having them repeat back the points. It's like my whole teaching style is such that, like, without that, it's hard to even, it's like I don't even feel like I know what to do. I don't even know if I feel like I can teach the correct way. And so what's happening is I sit here, teach for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and it just feels like complete, utter garbage. It feels embarrassing, like I don't even want to post it online. And it really is sad. So I was really happy that we were starting, Romans chapter 6, which is, I believe, one of the most difficult sections of all the book of Romans. And I for that kind of teaching, I really needed people present. So I was really excited. I felt like you could probably have heard in my voice, there was like a sense of excitement. And now I've got to try to go back and now try to finish Romans 6 without anyone present. Or do I just throw Romans 6 aside and wait till we get, I don't know what to do. So I've got to figure all of that out. So it's very depressing, very discouraging. So, and it's not just us. Obviously, there's churches everywhere struggling with the same thing. Some of them have started in-person services. Some of them have had to go back and cancel those in-person services. Some of them are trying to try to have some and try to limit the number of people. And I've seen every idea, every model of trying to make it work. And some have been successful, some haven't been successful. And I think churches are really trying to struggle to figure out what to do. And so it's difficult. It almost feels like this. This is what it feels like. It feels like the Victory Baptist Church has basically become an online church, which, can that even occur? I can minister to people, right? I can have people email me with their spiritual concerns and their spiritual needs, try to create teaching to address said spiritual needs, try to create teaching that will disciple people, it's just so not the way things are supposed to work. But we're a small church. We're a small church, and this is the second individual who has with a COVID situation. That's crazy, as small as we are. So, and we're in the middle of nowhere. So I can't even imagine churches with hundreds of people or thousands of people. I don't even know how you try to manage that. But I'm going to do everything I can to try to keep people safe. And so for the rest of September, no in-person services. So what does that mean? Well, that means most likely this is what's going to happen. We're going to go back to Sunday mornings. I will get here early, try to do an hour or two, and maybe an hour or two of live streaming before the Sunday school hour, live stream the Sunday school hour, then live stream the morning worship service. Go home, get some lunch, come right back, try to be back here by 2 or 3 in the afternoon, do live streaming all the way up till 6 p.m., then live stream the Sunday evening service. Wednesdays, try to get here around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, do multiple hours of live streaming up till 7 p.m., and then live stream the Wednesday evening service. That's the goal. Now, sometimes the Wednesday night and Sunday night, it may get impacted for this reason, because a lot of times what happens is if I show up here, at 2 in the afternoon and I'm doing 1 hour of live streaming, sometimes it gets around 5:15, 5:20. And I'm like, well, do I just sit and wait till 6, or have I already provided enough stuff? I don't know how I'm going to work that. I think I'm going to try to be very disciplined to make sure that at 6 and at 6 p.m. Central Time on Sunday nights and at 7 p.m. on Wednesday nights, I'm going to try to make sure I'm live on the air to do something. So, and again, what do I teach? How do I teach it? I don't know. Do I throw out everything we were trying to do? I don't want to throw out Romans chapter 6. I just may have to go to a different style of teaching. So I'm going to do what I can. Here's the thing. I don't know what's going on in your church. I really don't. I don't know if your church is moving on fine and everything's going great. I don't know if you've gone to just in-person services. I don't know if your church is falling apart. I don't know. But whatever we can do here at Victory Baptist Church, for whoever is listening, we'll do whatever we can. You can contact me anytime, newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com. If you have Bible questions, if you have theology questions, if you have a chapter you want covered, if you have a verse you want covered, here is the time. Really, you can kind of program what I'm doing. I mean, I'm going to be on the air hour after hour after hour after hour. So I could definitely probably fit something in. So this is your opportunity to do that. So just pray. It really feels like, I have no indication yet that like the church is not going to survive this. I don't have any indication, but it just feels like there's this almost a fear. And I know you're not supposed to have fear. I understand that, but there is a fear like, can we make this? Like, is Victory Baptist Church going to be still here in 2021? Are we still going to be here? Financially, I think we're still doing okay. I hope we're still doing okay. I haven't checked. I haven't looked. I haven't heard any reports. I hope everything is going okay there. But it's just, we haven't taken an offering and I don't even know how long now. It feels like we haven't, we never pass an offering plate. But we haven't had people here for, pretty much most of 2020, it feels like. So far as I know, people are giving, electronically or I don't know. I don't even know how people are giving. I try to stay out of the money situation as much as humanly possible. But hopefully everything is going okay. Obviously now the internet ministry is of the utmost importance. Now making sure we have the money to be online is probably more important than it's ever been. And having, our presence everywhere we can is probably more important than it's ever been. So just please pray for us. If your church needs prayer, if there's things going on in your church, let me know. I don't know what I can do to help, but whatever. Churches, we got to work. I don't know. Obviously, like-minded churches need to work together as much as possible and see what we can do to try to make it through this very, very difficult time. So that's one of the most important things I wanted to just share is no more in-person services at Victory Baptist Church for the month of September. We will reevaluate at the beginning of October. Now, according to what everyone is concerned of the following, that we're getting ready to have, that who knows how bad the flu season is going to be, but that's getting ready to start kicking into high gear. And once that starts kicking into high gear, there's still this massive concern of a second wave of COVID. And if we have a horrible flu season and COVID comes back in a big way with a second wave, I don't know what the rest of 2020 is going to look like. Some are saying that, a vaccine is going to be released before the election. Then will people get the vaccine? Is it going to be trustworthy? And then what if COVID-19 mutates? Then whatever vaccine we currently have for the current type of COVID-19, if it mutates into a kind of a different line, well, then that vaccine is going to be useless. So I don't even know how successful the vaccine is going to be. And obviously, from my perspective, this is my own personal perspective. Obviously, I'm going to be a little bit leery. Okay, if you know my history, right? If you know my history, they put a needle in my arm, okay, and 72 hours later, they were calling a code blue, and then I had a massive seizure, and now I still have seizures and neurological problems on a regular, consistent basis because of what happened with the anthrax vaccine. That almost killed me. So, and then I got medically retired from the military. Now I'm 100% disabled. And, sometimes I think when you listen to me, you can hear some of the neurological issues. I think sometimes you hear them come through in my speaking. And I hate that, but that's just the burden, thorn in my flesh that I have to deal with. And there's positives. I have to say there's positives that came from it. My life is, other than the neurological issues, other than the seizures, that my life is very, very good in many ways. And a lot of it is due to what happened with that. So, it's kind of a catch-22. But so obviously I'm very leery. For the longest, the United States military, they wouldn't even allow me to get a flu shot. They were worried about me even getting a flu shot because they didn't know how I would react and what would happen. So if I couldn't even get a flu shot, and I still don't get a flu shot. I still don't. Because nobody still knows what will happen if you put another needle in my arm, then you have to understand I'm greatly concerned about putting a needle in my arm for a COVID-19 vaccine that may be rushed. So yeah, I'm going to be in a weird category right there. I don't know what's going to happen. So bottom line is the rest of 2020, it's going to be chaotic. We still don't know what the outcome of the election is going to be. So I don't know what it's going to look like for churches. I don't know what it's going to look like for our church. So please pray. Please pray. And if, and again, if we can do anything for you, let me know. And I will turn on this microphone and try to create any teaching that you need. I will address any issue, answer any question. And as I always do, I'll try to answer it, clearly outlining all the different perspectives, not just my perspective. Try to be fair. Probably ask you more questions than give you answers. But if we can do that for you, then let us know. I mean, it's just, it's a crazy time to be alive. So that is happening. Now, speaking of online ministry, and speaking of that, there's some things we want to address here that I think is important. We created 2 pod pages. Now, a pod page is where they take your podcast and you just put in the RSS feed of your podcast and boom, it magically creates basically a website. It's very simple. It takes like 3 minutes. You put in your RSS feed, boom, and there's your website. Now, you can go in and modify a few things, but pretty much it's made for you. Now, the reason this is so beneficial is that it gives people a searchable database of all of our content. All of the VBC content and all of the Theology Central content. We have not created another pod page for, say, the VBC Bible Institute. And part of the reason we haven't is, based off what I've seen, the 2 pod pages really haven't been super successful in bringing in a lot of traffic. Now, I don't know exactly. I would have to check all of the latest statistics, but it doesn't seem like they're being utilized. Probably not. I feel like in some ways they're not being utilized enough to really justify the cost, but at the same time, you want them there to try to help people first have a searchable database. Second, you want it there for people to possibly stumble across the pod page that then lead us to find us and start listening to us. But let me just remind you of the address of both pod pages, right? Just in case you're interested, just in case you want to look at them, and then you can let me know if you think we should keep them or not. The first one is sermons, the word sermons, sermons.vbc66.org. Sermons.vbc, that stands for Victory Baptist Church, sermons.vbc, that stands for Victory Baptist Church, 66, sermons.vbc66, that's all run together, sermons.vbc66.org. Sermons.vbc66.org, O-R-G, sermons.vbc66.org. That is the pod page for the VBC podcast. And if you know anything about how my podcast works, the VBC podcast, that basically is all of the preaching and teaching from Victory Baptist Church. Basically, that was designed whenever I'm preaching from the pulpit, that's where it goes. The VBC 66 or the sermons.vbc66.org pod page and the VBC podcast. Basically, any preaching from the church, that's where it was supposed to go. Now, we've had to make modifications there because now that I'm not really preaching from the pulpit during this pandemic, I'm here behind this microphone, I've used some of the church services for other things, for the VBC Bible Institute, for Theology Central, for a lot of different things. So those messages go to those specific podcasts. But most of the preaching, that's where it's going to go. VBC podcast and sermons.vbc66.org pod page. Go to the pod page, look around, say, yeah, okay, I can see how this is beneficial. Yeah, I can use this. Then email me at newsif@yahoo.com. Newsif@yahoo.com. That's newsif@yahoo.com. And let me know that. And then I can say, all right, let's keep that. You can leave a voicemail. And when you go to the pod page and you scroll up, if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little microphone. You can click on that microphone and leave us a voicemail. All right. That makes it simple. You can go to the pod page and leave us a voicemail letting us know, hey, we like it, you like it, you dislike it, a suggestion, whatever. If you want to just be a jerk, obviously you can go there and just say mean things, but hopefully you won't waste your time doing that. Right? Sermons.vbc66.org. That's sermons.vbc66.org. That is the pod page for the VBC podcast. Now, obviously, we have the Theology Central pod page. That's Theology Central, all run together, theologycentral.net. 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 That's the pod page for the Theology Central podcast. theologycentral.net. That's theologycentral.net. Right? Test. All right. I thought we had lost. I think everything is good to go. All right. I hope it looked like for a second we had lost all connection. So I'm going to assume we're still live on the air. All right. I apologize for that. I looked over at the laptop and nothing was working. So we're gonna carry on, and hopefully this worked. Like the last thing I need right now is problems. All right. Here we go. So theologycentral.net. That's the pod page. Please check it out. Leave us a voicemail. Again, all you have to do is scroll up. You'll see the little microphone in the right-hand corner. Tap on that. Leave us a voicemail. We will appreciate it, all right? So there you have it. Those are the two pod pages. Now, why am I asking for feedback on those pod pages? Because those pod pages cost us $15 a month. $15 a month. So we have two pod pages. You can do the math. That's not a large expense, but it's an expense. And if they're not being used, then you have to start asking yourself, okay, is that really worth it? We have them out there. Hopefully people are using them and utilizing them. And if you are, you can let me know, because we greatly appreciate that. All right. Now, another thing about our online presence, our online internet presence, we have the Theological Musings. Yeah, I got to remember the name. Theological Musings SoundCloud page. Now, this page has gone through a lot of interesting. It's kind of had a weird evolution, all right, and it's evolved into kind of a weird thing. When we first started with kind of an internet presence after sermon audio, SoundCloud was kind of the place we ended up. And it was something we weren't promoting. It was basically just for the church members, and it was kind of there. And the numbers started growing and growing and growing. And it's kind of weird because SoundCloud is known for SoundCloud rappers. You may have even heard that term, rappers who become discovered on SoundCloud. SoundCloud is really about music. So it was this weird place that we could put our stuff, and we thought nobody's ever going to discover us there. And this will just be for the church members as we were going through a very important time in the life of the church. And the numbers started growing, and it's just like we kind of stand out like a sore thumb on SoundCloud. Again, it's really for music, and like here we are, and we're posting sermons and theological podcasts. So it's kind of a weird thing. And so what has happened is basically any podcast I do, they go to SoundCloud. SoundCloud has become kind of like a catch-all. If I record anything, it goes to SoundCloud. And it's the Theological Musings podcast. Now, here's the weird thing. I know I could prove myself wrong here. But let me look here. I'm going to go to SoundCloud. Yeah. See, this is bizarre. Okay. In just the last 7 hours on SoundCloud, in the last 7 hours, 3,511 plays. In the last 7 hours. Like, I don't even understand what's going on there. Like, we don't promote SoundCloud. I don't do anything. I don't do anything. Everything just automatically uploads there. I've got all kinds of comments here. I've got people following me. Yeah, I don't even understand what's going on. I really don't. I have no idea what's happening. Yeah, I mean, we have 1,461 episodes on SoundCloud. 1,461 episodes. I mean, it really it brings in to get content from everything and anything I do. Even my secular podcast shows up here. Everything just shows up on SoundCloud. So I don't know. Oh, I've got some comment here. This is probably not. I don't see the comment. Okay, make sure. Sometimes the comments show up, and I don't even check it. So I'm looking like, oh wait, there's comments here, and what's going on? But I mean, there's the SoundCloud page. If you listen to us on SoundCloud, well, thank you. I really don't know. I don't know why. You can explain why you listen to me on SoundCloud. You can explain how you discovered me on SoundCloud. I never hear anything from the SoundCloud audience. Sometimes I'll get a comment every once in a while, and sometimes it'll show a comment, and then the comment takes forever to show up. So, again, I'm not even an expert in how the SoundCloud whole thing works. It's just kind of everything just goes there. Every podcast just goes there. And the numbers there, in some cases, the numbers on SoundCloud rival what we're getting on other podcasting platforms. So I don't, and part of me wants to get rid of SoundCloud because it's like another, I think it's almost $20 a month. But I can't get rid of something where you're having that many people listen to you on pretty much an hourly basis. You're talking thousands and thousands, more than 1,000 per hour. Well, that's insane. And that just stays consistent throughout the day. Well, you figure that in a 24-hour period, those numbers are staggering, right? I don't even know what's happening. It makes no sense to me. I don't know why we have any success, and I almost hear nothing. I basically hear silence. When I get emails, basically all the emails I get, none of them ever indicate they're listening to me via SoundCloud. So if you're listening to us on SoundCloud, man, give me some feedback. newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com. Let me know what's going on there. It's just weird. So because we need to figure out, do we keep SoundCloud? I was talking to someone in the church the other day, and I was explaining to them SoundCloud and how many listens, and they're like, well, for that many listens, we should just keep it. And I'm like, yeah, but it just seems weird. In fact, let me look right now. Let me look really quick. I told you we're just going to be talking about all kinds of things today. Let me look here. I'm going to go to Spreaker. I get a lot of statistics, a lot of data from what they provide here. Let me look here. Statistics. Go to sources. All right, I'm pulling this up. It's waiting. I'm going to pull this up, maybe, if it's going to work. I think maybe we're having some internet connections problems at the church. I think maybe that's what's going on. Okay, there's devices. See, most people listen to us. This is interesting. Most people listen to us currently on Android phones. Second, people listen to us on iOS, so an Apple phone. Third, people listen to us on Windows, so a computer using Windows. Fourth, they use us on Mac OS. Then next, we have people listening to us on an Apple Watch. That's interesting. We have a lot of people listen to us on Amazon Alexa, and then some people listen to us via television. I'm assuming maybe Apple TV. I don't even know. I don't even know what where I don't even know how people are listening to us via TV. But yeah, we have a large percentage. But most of the people listen to us via an Android phone. Now, typically it's iOS. Typically it's Apple devices where we have most of our listening. But in the last 7 days, that has changed. So that's just an interesting statistic. And then, okay, now look at this. Here we go. This is just crazy. So, right now, the place people are listening to us the most is Spotify. Now, that's awesome because I wanted us to get on the Spotify theology charts. Let me look and see where we are here. Let me go to Spotify. This is bizarre. It's just like it's hard to even follow where things are going. Okay, we're clearly not on any charts. Theology Central. Yeah, we're not doing great. Followers have increased. Man, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. The gender breakdown for the people who listen to us, 88% female. 88% female. 88% female, 6% male, 6% non-binary. So we have 88% females who listen to us. It's always crazy. United States is where most people listen to us from. All right. So the Spotify. I mean, if you want to help us out there, listen to us on Spotify. We would really. It would really, we would like to get on the theology chart on Spotify. We really would. So if you can download Spotify for free. You don't have to subscribe. You can just look up the podcast, Theology Central, and then just stream it, download it, stream it, download it, stream it, download it until we get on the theology chart. It would be really good. I'm going to go to Spotify really quick. Give me a second. I'm going to go to Spotify. All right. I'm going to go to search. I'm going to go to podcast charts. I'm going to pull up top podcast by category. And I'm going to go to religion and spirituality. And let's see here. Yeah, we're currently not on that chart. And I really wish we could be. I really do. But man, if you look at what people are listening to, as far as spirituality, religion and spirituality on Spotify, I mean, most of this is made up of, let's see here. We've got Joyce Meyer. We've got Joyce Meyer again. Tara, B-R-A-C-H. Tara, B-R-A-C-H. I don't know how to say her last name. We have lots of astrology programs, a lot of astrology programs. We have Mysterious Universe, which I listened to that a long time ago, which is all more conspiracy theories, supernatural, UFOs, aliens, ghosts, that kind of stuff. Yeah, most of this is astrology based. So it's just crazy. I wish we could get on that chart, but because then we could possibly gain a lot of momentum. So if you want to help us get on the podcast, the Spotify podcasting chart for top religion and spiritual podcasts, then what you need to do is download Spotify and just listen download every podcast that we have done, listen to them, just hit play and leave it on play and get us up on that chart. Maybe that would gain us some momentum. But again, just trying to figure out where people are listening to us. It's so crazy trying to figure it out because there was a period of time where nobody was listening to us on Spotify, and now that's just all of a sudden exploded again. And now I just don't get it. I mean, if you look at all of the sources. Let's see, here's the sources. Spotify number 1, Spreaker number 2. So Spotify is now past Spreaker. Chrome WebView, Deezer, the music streaming service Deezer, like it's weird. It's always the music streaming services that where we gain the most momentum, like SoundCloud. It's for music, and we Like on the theology world, nobody likes me. It's really weird trying to figure this out. Apple Podcast, we're moving way up in the Apple Podcast. That's really good. iHeartRadio, we've jumped way up in iHeartRadio. TuneIn Radio, we've jumped way up on TuneIn Radio. iTunes, that's weird. Who even uses iTunes anymore? Okay, iTunes. Google Podcasts has now entered the chart. That's good. Stitcher has entered the chart. Podcast Addict has entered the chart. So we've had, I mean, it's just weird. Like you just never know from day to day where it's going to go. So that goes back to my point. Like basically what you have to do, you have to be everywhere. You have to be everywhere. And what's weird, the SoundCloud numbers don't show up on the Spreaker statistics. So SoundCloud keeps their own statistics that don't show up here, which in fact, hang on, maybe they will. Let me look here. I've just got an idea. I think for it to show up, I think what I have to do is go under theology, theological musings. Let's look here. Theological musings. Yeah, okay. Yeah, theological musings. Let me do sources. Well, theological musings, Spotify is number one right now. Yeah, under theological musings, SoundCloud does not show up, which is weird. Because we've got our stuff is being listened to in so many different directions. It's almost hard to figure out all the numbers. Like I can't even calculate all the numbers, and that's good and that's bad. The good thing is I can't really calculate the numbers. The bad thing is because it's split up among so many different services that then you don't really, or you're not, like if we were just Spotify and I forced everyone to go to Spotify, forced everyone there, and I removed it from everything else, then maybe we could get on the Spotify chart. Does that make sense? If we just forced everyone to Apple Podcast, well, that would eliminate all the Android users, so that would actually hurt us in that particular case. But let's say all of those numbers started listening to us via an Apple device, we would be on the Apple Podcast charts. So it's just because we're so many different places, we don't really show up as being big in any one particular place, which good or bad. And so, yeah, that's just an interesting thing. So where you're listening to me from, please let me know. newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com. That would be a lot of help. That would be great. And so let's see. What else do I want to talk about? That's just a lot of information about the internet online ministry. I mean, we're trying. It's just sometimes I'm overwhelmed. I don't even really know what to focus on. Like, what do I really do? I try to promote this, try to work on this. It's like all I really can do is talk and just let it go out there and just see what happens. But in some cases, you kind of want to direct people certain directions for the benefit of the ministry overall. So again, right now, Spotify, if you want to just like bombard Spotify with listens, that would be great. And maybe it could get us on the Spotify chart. That would be awesome. We've been on the Spotify chart for my secular podcast, but I haven't really been working on that much at all right now because that was done as kind of like a dare. I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. I could have a hugely successful podcast. What's frustrating is Anchor Podcast, who claims, sign up with us and we'll get you a sponsor. Well, I signed up with them, got a sponsor, but the sponsor had a certain amount of money they would pay out, and we blew past that in less than 7 days. We got that payment, which is good. It was good. It was a little bit of, nothing major. It was, like $100, but, for 7 days of work, it was nice. Just a little extra money. And so great. And then next thing they're like, okay, now we've got to find you another sponsor, and they're yet to find me another sponsor. So at this point, I don't know how much work I want to put on that podcast because I really wanted to just see how successful I could be. I made it to number 2 on trending podcast in the United States of America. I made it to number 1 in multiple countries, Canada, Australia. So we had massive success there. I just wish we could have that kind of success with a theology podcast. That's what I really want. But I don't want to monetize the Theology Central podcast. I don't want to monetize it. Spreaker contacts me pretty much every day. Hey, let's monetize your podcast. Hey, let's monetize. Look at your numbers. You should monetize your podcast. Hey, look at your numbers. You should monetize your podcast. You could make some money. Hey, and I'm like, stop emailing me and telling me I don't want to monetize a theology podcast. I don't want to do that. So yeah, I could make a little money, but I just feel like that cheapens what we're trying to do. I don't know. You can give me your thoughts on that. newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com. All right. Is there anything else? This is one a lot longer than I wanted. Right now, if you don't know all of our podcasts, we have the non-Catholic Catholic podcast, which that whole thing has been messed up because that was supposed to capture me taking our church through an in-depth study of the Catholic Catechism. And that kind of teaching, I really needed the people present. So that's kind of been put on hold. So I've been doing kind of my reaction to Catholic homilies. That did not take off as much as I thought it would, but I may just continue to do it because I think it's interesting to hear a Protestant listening to Catholic preaching and then reacting to it. I think that's an interesting concept. You don't see that anywhere, I think, on the internet. So I'm going to continue to do that, and we'll see if we can make that successful. The VBC Bible Institute it's been a crazy journey for that podcast, trying to take everyone through the entire Bible. I feel like that we're going way too slow, but on the other hand, I feel like we're doing it the right way. So that's available. And then obviously the Theology Central, and then the VBC Bible Institute, the VBC podcast, which is just the sermons from Victory Baptist Church. And then Theological Musings is the podcast that really captures everything, kind of just flows into that. It's kind of a catch-all. So lots of different podcasts. You can listen to us, obviously, live on the air through the Spreaker app. And we still want to get it set up where you can listen to me when I'm live on the air on our pod pages, but we haven't been able to pull that off yet. You can listen to us when we're live on the air on the VBC website, which is, oh boy, I don't even know if I remember our website. Let's see, is it VBC66.org? Yeah, VBC66.org. That's our website, VBC66.org. You can you can go to Listen Now. And yeah, there we are. We're live on the air on the VBC66.org website. You can listen to us live.
Looking at our world from a theological perspective. This is the Theology Central podcast, making theology central.
All right, here we go. And you're going to hear us live in just a second. .org website. You can listen to us live.
Looking at our world from a theological perspective.
There we are. We're live on the air on the VBC. So that's VBC66.org, VBC66.org. Go to the website and then go to Listen Now and then find where. Now, when we're live on the air, we're going to either be live under the air, on the air for the sermons, or for Theology Central or VBC Bible Institute. We haven't placed any of our other podcasts on there for you can listen to us live, but that's where we're typically going to be. So you can go listen to that. It's crazy for Theology Central. I have created 324 hours of content. 324 hours of content I have created for Theology Central. 309 hours of content for the sermons, and I've created 76 hours of content for the VBC Bible Institute. You add all of that together, yeah, I'm producing a lot of content, so hopefully it's benefiting people. So the bottom line is, let us know you're out there. Let us know what's going on. Let us know what we can do for you. Utilize all of these different things. Use the pod pages. Check out the website, VBC66.org. Download the Spreaker app. Listen to us on Spotify. Just anything we can do. I just want to let you know everything that's going on. I'll just end with a couple of just personal updates in case you wanted to know. I had to get a spot on the back of my head checked. At first, there was concern that it was going to be cancerous. Then the doctor looked at it on Wednesday and said, don't worry about it. It's absolutely nothing to worry about. You're fine. You're good to go. So I'm a clean bill of health other than my seizure issues, but I'm good to go. My brother, he's going to have his kidney removed, cancer. Not a good situation, so be praying for him. Not a super close relationship, but obviously we've talked during this, and I'm going to try to do what I can to support him through this. So just be there for that. And main thing is just pray for not only my church, pray for your church, support your pastor, encourage your pastor. This is a crazy time. I am not happy about the current situation. I got to figure out how I'm going to teach. I got to refigure out how I'm going to do things. And so Sunday's probably going to be a disaster, but we will wait and see. So if there's anything you want me to discuss, anything you want me to cover, email me anytime, newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com. To the, 6% of the men who are listening? Great. I wish we had more men who listen to Theology podcasts. For some weird reason, it's women. 88% of our listeners are women. To the 6% who are non-binary, probably you come from a perspective that's very different than the one I offer up. I appreciate you being willing to listen to a different perspective. So thank you. And, I'm going to continue to try to provide you a theological perspective on not only what's happening in the world, but I'm going to obviously do my best to try to bring devotional messages, Bible teaching, and we'll just, every day the podcast takes a different direction, and we'll see where it all leads to. So if you're a listener, thank you. If you're new, thank you. If you have no idea how you started hearing this, well, thank you. And we'll just see where this all goes. So thank you very much, and I just wanted to kind of bring an update, and I'm probably forgetting something, but there we go. All right, everyone have a great day, and I'll probably be back on the air here in a few minutes. So God bless.